Welcome back to Holistic Habitat. My name is Alejandro and I. This is Coach. It's not Coach.
You're trying.
I am trying. What's your name again?
Yeah, my name's Vic.
And we're going to call you Soul Brother. Welcome back to Holistic Habitat. My name is Alejandro and I.
This is the Soul Bros Podcast.
And he's a soul brother from another mother. And I just want to thank you for coming to my podcast yet again. You're actually my first person I interview on this podcast. But I really do want to say, I want to thank you for starting this out for me, because I was not thinking about doing a podcast. You're the first person who reached out to me. Yeah, you're the first person who reached out to me and you said, Alejandro, let's do a podcast.
Let's shoot the shit.
Exactly.
We're not going to be good at it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And you're the reason why I'm doing this now. So
sweet, man. You look good with the microphone in your hand.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look very natural.
I got to start on the cheaper end. This is one of the things I investigated.
Right.
And they said that this was
too much judgment.
It is a judgment, yes. But we gotta start somewhere. Something about me, man. Everything I purchase, I investigate it. I have to look into it to see if I really want it and if it's worth my money. On last podcast, I was talking to my other brother, and we were talking about voting with your dollar.
Fuck
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's quality over quantity. I don't want to buy something that's cheaply made that you can easily just throw away. I remember when I was a little kid, it was all about the dollar store. And remember how...
Look at how much stuff we can get for so little money.
Yeah, basically.
My parents were the same way.
Yeah.
They're probably still like that in some ways, but they're learning from that.
Yeah.
Probably at the time they were just struggling with money, so this is just the best thought process. But exactly like you're saying, you want to make sure now that you're getting the most return on your investments.
Exactly. And it takes longer when you do it this way. But at least the company, where your money is going towards, and these mics are high quality, even though they're on the lower end. So,
have you ever heard of the philosophy of Yamaha, the company?
No, what's that about?
Yamaha makes motorcycles and music equipment. So it's a Japanese company that only manufactures things that will hit a certain movement in the world, especially having to do with engineering. If they can set a new standard in the way that they make motorcycles, they can set a new standard in the way they make musical equipment. Stands out further to them and is more important to them than making, say, for example, a shaker cup. You'll never find a Yamaha shaker cup because it's not moving the needle in any direction. A typical shaker cup is a typical shaker cup. So maybe if Yamaha makes microphones, which I'm sure they do, it's probably going to lead you in that direction. See, okay, this is the Yamaha standard, and so it becomes that whole culture of maximizing on every potential and whatever the engineering craft may be.
It sounds like Apple. Apple. What I like about Apple is all about quality. It could be slow, the next product. It's the same size, maybe the resolution's a little bit better, but it's 1 inch.
Micro hair.
Yeah, micro hair until they make something like Apple. So, the Apple products to me seems like they got them hooked.
Yeah, Apple people were hooked. They might have started off because the iPad seemed kind of fun whenever that first came out. It's just a huge ass tablet and device.
Yeah.
At the time, all the video games were coming out, and people were working remotely more because you could pick up Wi-Fi from places, so people were able to do that stuff. And then the cell phone. I mean, definitely, the cell phone was first, right? Yeah. And so they imprinted in their brains a long time ago, and hey, look at tablet. This thing is twice as huge.
Yeah.
Take it anywhere. It's not exactly like a phone, but you can use it like a computer.
You know what that reminds me of? Since we're so into the health atmosphere, I'm already thinking about 5G, 4G, all this signaling and how that affects us in return. I mean, we already know that affects the birds.
I'm reducing my EMFs at the moment.
Thank you. Later on, after this, you can ground yourself outside in the grass.
Appreciate it.
But anyways, I don't think people notice that this is a huge issue, and there's already science that talks about how this can cause all kinds of cancer and whatnot, right? But I was telling you, it messes up the birds, the bees, because I guess they use like signaling of their own radar. The Wi-Fi is interrupting that signal.
Yeah. I guess it's an electromagnetic frequency is what we're using, what we're thriving off of these all our devices. And I think for sure for birds, they do have this alternative sense to pick up on waves like that, because they can pick up waves of heat that are coming out of the ground, and that's how they provide themselves with lift. Because you think about a bird and you're thinking that it flaps its wings to get altitude, but no, it's looking for the hot spots that are rising off the earth. Because you think of a hot air balloon, the more hot air that's inside of the balloon itself, the higher it rises. Birds work that same way in a sense. But if we're having, say, a more industrialized landscape with more buildings, more apartment complexes, electricity facilities like breakers and power lines and all that stuff, that definitely interferes with that. Because imagine if all this wasn't here, it'd be filled with animals, it'd be filled with bugs, wildlife and such. But as human beings, we're immersing ourselves in this because this makes us feel safe. This gives us, not grounding, but it gives us protection from the environment. But that's another topic that could be discussed, is how much of the environment, how much are we depriving ourselves of the whole natural environment?
Does that mean we get to leave the city and start a farm out there?
It would seem so, because my dream life would be like, hey, how much would I be capable of homesteading, of pickling my own vegetables and having animals out there in the pasture for me to, one day slaughter them humanely so that it can provide me some meat, sustenance for my family, chicken to, harvest their eggs, even go hunting. It's just like, there's so much fulfillment in that a lot of people in the city don't realize. I'm realizing now, is like, that looks attractive to me, regardless, because it's a foraging thing, it's a gathering thing, it's a, hey, we're gonna have calories for our future, and that's just like, okay, why would I not do that? Why would I go and watch a movie, even though movies are great? But that's definitely a sense of advertisement, and the Spanish word is divertirme. Look for a distraction.
Sí. Entiendo.
Muy bien.
Sí. ¿Qué te iba a decir? Oh, wait. Translation. Are you telling me that you wouldn't mind leaving the city to do that kind of stuff?
No, but I guess you can call it being in between a rock and a hard place, because we know people that have done this, right? But what they've done is offer value and create products and services to people that would be like, hey, I'm going to give you my money because I believe in your product, believe in your service. And so because of that, because they have accumulated that wealth, they're like, okay, I can let go of the city life. I got this thing running, whatever business, whatever services and products I'm selling. And then they can go out like, all right, my next project is that homestead, because that does take a lot of learning, making mistakes and all that stuff. But also, like, you have to buy the property, you have to buy the animals. And like, imagine back in the day, there was farmers who were like making, what the farmer's done in a short amount of time is make deals with the government, being like, hey, we're the government, we're going to provide you the seeds and everything you need for the farm, but you're only going to grow what we want you to grow. And so that made us produce a lot of corn,
right,
and make a slew of different products from growing the corn. But the farmers really had no control over that. So that's where you got like the subsidized farming and all that stuff. But the real beauty, the real truth is just like, what if I was my own farmer and I partook this on my own and created the things that I want to create?
That something comes up in my mind that I think I read something where, they were talking about suicide, how there was like farmers killing themselves.
Yeah. The government demanded like at least a certain production yield each year, but that's kind of hard because there's a lot of things you can't control in the environment.
Yeah.
I imagine, that very well being the case.
I was getting into it because when I first discovered biodynamic farming, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, you're using cow poop to grow your plants and creating, because the goal here is to create like a holistic ecosystem for the animals and plants to work together versus leaving the farm, the city, and going and hunting. If you want to get the highest quality food, it is leaving and hunting, getting berries from the wild, strawberries, like let them grow. That's the highest quality you can ever get.
Yeah. And it's difficult, right? But not impossible. Some say that the more difficult something is to do, the more value you get from it. So,
which makes sense because I wanted to travel to buy high quality water. I wanted to go to the outside of Houston.
Talking about a glacier?
No, not a glacier.
Some glacier.
Talking
water?
about a well. A well, like where
you
bring the bucket up and you pour into your water, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Is there somewhere near here that has all that?
There is a website where they locate all the wells around you, and you can go travel, pick up your water from those wells, and there you go. Yeah. You just have to travel far, that's the problem.
At the end of the day, how much is that worth? Like, you lose time on doing that, so it might not be cost effective or productive.
If you look at it as this, we are made up of 75% water. Some people say more, right? That's very important. That's why I carry a jug of water, like a gallon, everywhere I go, because I know that even with 1% dehydration, I feel like crap. Yeah. My mental state isn't there. I become hungry. And that's one of the side effects, is that when you're dehydrated, you become hungry, but you don't realize it's not that you're hungry, it's that you're not drinking enough water.
If you're dehydrated too, you're not making the proper food choices.
You're not making the proper food choices.
You're running on stress hormones.
Cortisol levels goes up.
Yeah, adrenaline, all that stuff.
Adrenaline. And whenever you keep that elevated, man, all that fat right here, midsection area, man. Every day we're living in a stressful environment. We're dealing with the Wi-Fi signaling. We're dealing with emotional problems with wives, girlfriends. My dog just ended up peeing on my leg, and I stress out over that. I'm not gonna lie, my dog.
We're out of milk again. At any level of human existence, that is our default. Those are our default needs: having enough water, pooping, peeing, being regular in that sense, and we can't do anything else beyond that if we don't have that first level taken care of.
What they say? Food, shelter,
community. There's maybe a fourth purpose.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Maybe that's on a higher level.
Love.
Fuck it. Fuck everyone. No, I love everyone.
Yeah. You seem like a lovable guy. Yeah.
Why'd you look at me like that?
No reason.
Yeah. I make it hard for people to hate me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't give them a reason to.
Wait, you think people hate you?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think they do.
You think people hate you?
But I don't give them a reason to. It's whatever... you know what a projection is?
It is.
Is whatever your internal state you got going on about your own self, you're putting it on another person so that you separate yourself from it. But instead you see it in another person. I always... It's been... That's been a learning process too. Just being like, you see famous people, all of the hate and distrust that is projected onto them because they have more eyes on them. And so even at the smallest level, someone like you or I who don't have a big following or anything, we still got to experience that on some level. Just like, I feel like maybe at some points during the day, my brother hates me, or my mother can't stand me, or my sister just finds me completely annoying. Those reasons are all valid, but there's also a different approach to take to it to enrich the relationship instead of like cutting it off and burning it away. So yeah, that's a good mental practice to have. On the spectrum of love, it's easier to hate people, but it's more difficult to open yourself up to love.
You're definitely right. I do find that in myself where it's hard to open up with someone that I'm talking to. It's a conscious effort.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. It's a conscious effort to open up. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to put my palms out like this when I'm talking to somebody. And that right there, this signifies open. Receiving. That is a good cue to help me get that body-mind connection going and give it my all. Receive and give. You know, and it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
How many times do you walk around the neighborhood or you go to the grocery store and you can't even look at someone's eyes?
I can, but I get it. And I do that too. We're all guilty of it. We walk around, you know, I wear a hat more so these days than I ever have in more of the recent past. Like, I'm okay to not be so open up with people, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that feels that way sometimes. Like maybe we're just going on a walk and like going about our daily routine or daily whatever, what have you. Like, this is simple. I'm just gonna go and get some produce, get some water, fill up on my thing, and while I'm doing that, I can be contemplating something, because there's people out there who have gone for walks and worked on a project or have a issue going on, and then just all of a sudden they're just walking and going about their own autopilot thing, and they're just like, oh, there's a nugget of truth there. I didn't think about that. And so I think it's good to disconnect it a little bit. And imagine if we were so emotionally triggered every time we go around somebody, like say, God damn, like, girl, you look so good in them yoga pants. I'm going to talk to you right now. I'm going to make you my wife. Like, we can't do that to every woman we see, or just like even see someone in need, even though that's like the highest good you can do is help someone else that you see in a struggle. Maybe it's a little bit more easier in some cases not, but it's like we can't go out there and save everybody. We can't go out there and flirt with every attractive woman. We can't see someone drinking a beer on a bar patio and we're like, hey, I'm gonna have a drink with you. Just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like there's good in just like going through life and like keeping the blinders on and be like, okay, I'm gonna focus on myself. A lot of what people are preaching these days is like, how much self-care are you really giving to yourself apart from helping everybody else around you? Because I think it's give or take, and I feel like the more we can solve our own issues going on throughout the day, the more that we can help and be present with other people rather than just like working that thing, you know, while we're with other people. Say, for example, me and you, I'm not thinking about anything else right now. Right. I'm not thinking about like how much meat there is in my fridge and how much water I don't have or how much money's not in my bank account. It's like we're here and now, and this is the thing that's most important to us.
Yeah. That reminds me of cell phones and how you can be talking to a friend and you're here texting someone, right? You're texting and talking, and then you're like, yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to you. Yeah. Have you seen that before?
You're also disrespecting the person you're with.
Yeah. And it's a conscious effort to put down my phone. It's funny because my mom, she's from Mexico. She's not in that digital age. But once I became a teenager, she started to get trapped into the matrix, right? What I call the cell phones, Instagram, YouTube. I call that the matrix. So I can see how she's getting trapped. But what's funny is that before that, she used to tell me and my sister to put down our cell phones and eat. You're on the table, Alejandro. Put down your cell phone and eat. Mm-hmm. And now
mom's doing it.
Mom's eating and texting and watching reels and YouTube videos, and she's now on TikTok. And it's funny because now I'm like, Mom, the table has turned.
It's super addictive, super easy to fall into.
Yeah.
It goes back to that whole difficult nature of things to do. I know it's so easy to, so little effort, so little energy to flick your finger up and see a new thing, a new experience. How valuable is that? I do enjoy going through some reels and some things, but I remember last time we were talking, I was like, I'm enjoying like doing meaningless shit.
Yeah.
Like it's good to like release my gas off the pedal. And at the time, the difficult thing that I was doing was just like training and going to the gym a lot, which I've stepped back from because, yeah, financial issues. And so what I found is like a lot of that enjoyment and fulfillment that I thought that I would have gotten from the gym and being in a superior physiological state. Ever since I let go of working out like 3 or 4 times a week, I've actually become happier and more creative and doing less of those meaningless things. I'm not preaching that I'm I'm the most meaningful person in the world, but I've actually found myself being a little bit more creative in the sense of playing a little bit more guitar, reading a book, and trying to solve a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle that I got back in the time of Corona, COVID, quarantine, and all that stuff. It was a 1,000-piece puzzle, and it's nothing but wine bottles. It's all wine bottles, so there's a lot of dark areas, and the only areas that you can really see that light up are the colors of the labels. There's yellow labels, there's blue labels, or red labels, and it's so hard to wrap my head around it. And I've got the border of the thing, but the whole entire 80% of the center, I'm just like, it's a difficult task, but yeah, I'm finding a little bit more enjoyment in the difficult.
I think that's life. You know, it's about challenging yourself, because if there's no challenge, then life is just meaningless. And one thing I found, I was entertaining this thought, and the thought is, what if we do not put any meaning into anything? What would life be like? And I was thinking about this, and the more I thought about this, the more I became lost. As in, I'm in this planet lost. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just here. Like, there's no substance.
Yeah.
And if I don't put a meaning into it, then I don't find any fulfillment. I'm going to give you an example. I find meaning in holistic lifestyle. Holistic lifestyle fills me. I take away the meaning, and all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? Like, it's just there's a separation that doesn't feel right to me. And I'm like an animal.
You feel less because you're not doing it, or you feel less
empty.
Because yeah.
That's what it is. I don't know what it's like to be an animal, but the animal is not creating something.
Yeah.
Do you see? They're just being an animal. They're eating grass. They're killing an animal.
Finding food, finding shelter, running from predators.
Yeah.
That's very a base mode of living for sure.
And I know that we have a reptilian brain, and we evolved from that. Doesn't click well for me.
Yeah, we definitely have a higher mode to function from being a human, because we have, there's 3 parts of the brain, right? There's the reptile, there's the
mammalian,
and then
there's the last one here.
The last one is the whatever.
We'll put it on the screen.
It's I think it's definitely human. Yeah, because that involves prefrontal cortex. We're able to look back into those different parts of our brain and notice those patterns. For example, thirst and hunger. That's like very reptilian. But we also had that access to be like, okay, that's handled. Let's move on to the mammalian. I think mammals are just like, keep the species going, proliferate families, community, and all that stuff. Yeah,
love. Is it love? Regardless,
I
community.
I think the last one would be love. It's just like going onto maybe a gender kind of identification. If we're able to live in a way that generates more love, I think that's a very human thing. I mean, I do believe that to some degree, mammals, maybe such as dogs, are very capable of affection, but I don't think they would have like learned that without humans, because they show affection towards us, but I don't know how much they would have showed affection to each other in a
mammals
dog sense.
Mammals are the ones.
Yeah.
You know, reptilians is a crocodile.
Yeah. Yeah, like a snake would eat another snake. Shouldn't be snakes. We're not fucking snakes.
Yeah. Snake in the grass.
Yeah, dude. Let's not be that.
That's why I like talking to you, because I find you to be very educated. I see you very like a
Less than 2 years of college, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, YouTube.
Oh, we that's how we learn. We go to YouTube University.
Yeah, for sure. There should be a degree in that, dude. We should have like you know how they track like our activity throughout the day.
Oh yeah.
It was like we should have a degree like based on like our Google searches.
Yeah, or how many hours we are actually on YouTube. I'm definitely one of those, and that's why I keep making YouTube videos, because I love it so much, and I don't see myself stopping. To be honest with you, YouTube has been part of my life since I was 17, 18 years old, maybe. I first started with games, and realized that I was actually using games as an escape from my unfulfilled life.
So I sold my PS4 like 2 months ago.
Oh,
And that's where this transition happened.
really?
I was like living off of that dopamine that like I was playing a first person shooter looter. So it's guns, but you're finding different guns throughout the world that you go in. And so I was getting that dopamine hit, but it didn't reflect in my exterior world. So I got rid of it because I knew it was the right thing to do. A lot of things were going poorly because of that.
Would you say that it became a problem?
It was filling a need, but it was not very, like what you were talking about the microphones earlier, there was no return on it. Like if I were recording my gameplay and putting it out there, like I watch content creators do that, play a game that I like and then upload the footage and record their experience, but I wasn't doing that. So I very much wanted to have that experience, but because I wasn't sharing, there was really no revenue coming in from it. So if I were able to do that, then yeah, absolutely, it'd be like propagating onto itself and stacking on it and getting return from it, but it wasn't. And so I think the best course of action would be to just part with it. And it hurt. I'm just like, I definitely had to do this because I obviously have an attachment to it. And if I can get rid of this attachment, I can find something else beyond that.
The first thought that pops in my mind is, why couldn't you?
Why couldn't I get rid of it? Or why couldn't I stop? Or
why couldn't you make it something? That's my question.
Down to how much money I was making.
Okay.
Yeah. So not very much. I wasn't maximizing on that effort.
Would you say that that's not your life purpose?
Playing video games?
Hey, that could be part of your life purpose. I want to work hard and have enough time to play my games.
I find that was a little bit more satisfaction in learning a new guitar song than playing a video game. The last game that came out that I really wanted to like get my hands on was a remake from an old game back from like the late 90s. It's a Final Fantasy game. I don't know if you've heard of it, Final Fantasy 7. But they did a remake to it, and when it first came out, like I was like, okay, it's so cool to see this. I was watching some guy play it, and maybe one day I'll play it on my own. But I never got to that point. I realized that I wouldn't be so upset if I never played this game because there's footage of it out there and I can just watch it. So I knew that it wasn't like a purposeful thing because there was no, like you said, putting no meaning into it. Like wholeheartedly, if I really thought about it, could I die tomorrow and be like, man, I didn't play that goddamn video game. I never got my hands on it. I never got to beat it. I'm just like, it didn't make that impact. So that made me realize that like it's another diversion. It's a very entertaining diversion. But I mean, there's guys out there on YouTube who's they deal with like therapy and dealing with video game addiction. And even Joe Rogan talks about it. I hate to like throw Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan said something that's absolutely real and real life experience, and it is to a degree, but it feels like a name drop. But he says like he's known people that wasted lots of time being immersed in a video game and not getting anything done. I do think that it's like, you know, my favorite thing to do as far as video games go, because I was playing a lot of video games by myself, but my favorite video game by far is like Super Smash Brothers.
Oh.
In competition with other people, it's an absolute fun time because you get to see where everybody is on a hierarchy. Like, man, you fucking suck, dude. Like, you should definitely try to get better. But yeah. But stuff like that, if it brings people together, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Where do we go from that?
You were gonna go before I went on like a 10-minute rampage. You were gonna say something like why you enjoyed talking with me. You started on that thought, but I kind of interrupted you.
Oh, yeah.
We went on to talk about YouTube University.
You want to get your needs met right now?
No, I don't have any needs met. I did that yesterday.
So you don't want no affirmations from me?
I'm all
and how great you are?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Here's the thing that I've been doing too, because because how can you really tell if someone carries that thought with them? Then, like, I'm the shit. I'm walking around, I feel great. But for someone who looks like me, who's moderately attractive, moderately in good shape, and if I come across someone who's, to put a judgment on it, who doesn't feel like with their looks and their demeanor and their character, they're not up to snuff. Imagine if I came forward into an interaction, say like, man, like my feet are twisted, or like my toe hurts, or like my teeth are just so gnarled and yellow, like I'm disgusting, like I'm the worst. But someone can be like, man, this guy who I think is absolutely 100% put together is saying that he doesn't like things about himself. So there's a strategy in my mind in thinking that just like I can't go and walk around everywhere thinking that I'm the shit, because it'll create a separation between other people, and saying that like my shit don't stink. Like everywhere I go, like you can't really relate to those people because throughout the day we're just like, I know I'm not the shit, but I also do believe that I'm always trying my best to whatever my knowledge is.
That reminds me of jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu really humbles you and puts you in that level with everybody. Because no matter what mat you go to, no matter what jiu-jitsu gym you go to, there's always another guy that can beat you. And I remember doing that, and I'm seeing this kid that I, looking at his size, I'm like, come on, man. I'm going to roll with you. 2 seconds later, I'm on an arm bar. I'm like, holy moly.
His knees across your face.
Tap. Oh, man. Dude, he killed me. He literally strangled me. No matter what gym I go to, there's always someone that can beat me in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. No matter how much I train. Unless you're
Gordon Ryan,
yeah. I like to also challenge those thoughts too. It's like when you're walking around and you feel like you're a macho man, challenge that thought. Or maybe the opposite. You're walking around and you feel low confidence because this one guy looks freaking gorgeous, a model.
Yeah.
Challenge that thought. I think we're exacerbating that thought that you are a lower quality man than this other model. That's probably thinking less of himself. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to put it in a jiu-jitsu sense, it's the skill that's accumulated in that kind of aspect. Maybe this guy looks better because he has a better skincare routine. He eats less hazardous foods to himself. He doesn't consume a lot of sugar. That's a skill.
That is a skill.
Yeah, like how good are we at avoiding all the things that are actually going to put us in more of a hole? If we want to talk about food and nutrition, like I was just on my way over here and I was looking at one of my friend's reels, and it was of Michaela Peterson. And she gets asked the question, is like, why are so many people on the standard American diet, the sad diet of just like chips, cakes, sodas, and all that garbage? And she's like, it's it's so addictive. There's a study showing that sugar is either equal to or surpasses that of the same satisfaction that one would get from doing an illicit drug like cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure, I've done cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, but it's a thing that robs so much of you and your relationships with other people that the benefit does not outweigh the cost. Same thing with sugar with our health. What I try to tell people that are consuming a lot of sugar is just like, you know how they make caramel?
No, I don't know how to make caramel.
You heat up sugar and then you get it to a point where it starts liquefying, and then you add butter to it. The butter becomes into the liquid form, and it becomes a caramel, and it becomes hard after it gets coated. Like you say, caramel apple, perfect example. You put the caramel over the apple when it hardens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you mix excess sugar and the healthy fats that we're supposed to consume from steak, butter, eggs, and dairy, wherever it may be. And that happens inside of our body because we're hotter. We're not as hot as like a stove caramelizing sugar, but if we consume sugar that's not in a stable form, be it from fruit or honey or maybe even like rice or sweet potatoes, something that's like fibrous, it ends up doing damage and coating our cells in the same way, having that thick caramel-like shell. Jeez. Getting into our cells. It's I try to explain that to people, and it takes them a while to process it.
Right. Yeah. Because of how complex that is.
Because you wouldn't think that it would happen inside your body, but perfect example outside of us is caramelizing or making caramel or caramelizing onions.
And not to mention that's not the only thing that makes it addicting. There's a lot of stuff out there that has natural flavors.
Proprietary blend.
That's another one.
Like it just says proprietary blend, and it gives you the list of ingredients, but it doesn't give you the amounts that's in it. Mm-hmm. They don't have to if they call it a proprietary blend. So it's a loophole.
That's incredible, dude. Yeah. It does have like that copyright sign, right? It has that R.
Trademark.
Is it T?
Trademark or patent, stuff like that, because only they're allowed to use it and put into their product. They give it to a I guess the whatever you call the FDA food company, and we're like, hey, this is our thing. And I think also to a certain degree, in order to protect other people that put out products in that sense, they have to make sure that it's not someone else's, and so they have to tinker with it a little bit. But as the rule goes, in order for someone to not recreate their product that's already out there, they have to tinker with the values a little bit. So I think that's a fail-safe in that too, because you imagine like one guy on this side is like, hey, I made this blend, but another guy is over here is like, hey, I made that blend too. And so there has to be whoever gets that patent and ownership of that blend.
So first. You can't just change the percentage, or maybe add one little thing.
Yeah. Or just like maybe this one was 5 ingredients with the certain values in each kind in the blend. And then there's another one. There's a guy who's like, I'm going to use those 5 ingredients and those same quantities, but I'm just going to put another vitamin on top of it. I think that would be, I think that would work too. I've never done it myself, but I imagine there's some wiggle room in all that.
I don't know if you stop eating bars.
I think the last bar I would even consider to have was a collagen protein bar, a bulletproof one. Yeah. And because they're hard to find these days, they don't have them at Whole Foods or at Sprouts anymore. But I found a couple the other day in the H-E-B Central Market. Yeah. Or they're in the gallery area. But they have some adverse effects in them. I think because they have a particular starch that ferments in my colon a lot. It gives me gas. And so if I go and I have one of those, it keeps me up later at night because my body's trying to get processing the gas. For some reason, when I lay down and I'm in my most comfortable state, that's when I digest the best. And so everything's digesting, and it reaches my colon. And maybe I should look into that. But like, that's when I have a lot of my energy gets like absorbed. And so I start producing gas, which is unfortunate. But if I didn't have that bar and I stuck to a whole food plan, I'll have some eggs, some meat, and whatever carb. I just wouldn't have that effect. It'd be a lot more stable in just like the satisfaction I would get from it.
I find that if I consume packaged foods, I want more. Like, even though I get away with one for a day, the following morning I'm thinking about that bar. I'm like, man, I gotta eat me another one.
This is very good. Yeah.
It's like that.
It's high reward.
The high reward.
Yeah.
And I get that from packaged foods, which is crazy, man. I can see myself, in this roller coaster of highs and lows and wanting to keep buying that power bar.
It's also like, God, it's so simple. I walk up to the shelf, pick it up, take it to the person, pay for it, and it goes in my mouth. Not, I got to go to the fridge section. I got to drive this pound of meat back to my place, divide it, shape it into a ball, flatten it out, put it on a grill, cook it for more time. It's just the more time you put into it, it's a longer road. And if you think about the TikTok brain and the internet brain and the computer brain, it's like we're just so used to picking up things that are just quick, the least amount of effort for the highest amount of reward. That highly rewarding food that comes in a package is just the TikTok of food.
Which is why it's so hard to lose weight. It's so hard because you're dealing with addictive foods, you're dealing with stress, you're dealing with low quality water. Again, we're going back to the Wi-Fi signaling,
There's forces around us that are making us weak.
Everything, dude. Everything is against you. And I'm not saying that to live this lifestyle our holistic lifestyle is hard, but it takes time to want to change. It takes time and effort and energy. If all the environment is making us weak, like you say, then no wonder it's hard to change.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the reserve to actually change. So that's why whenever I talk to my clients, I tell them, hey, let's change one thing. Because that small little thing,
it could be the one thing that you can change that'll produce the most amount of benefit from
exactly.
you. Yeah.
Exactly. And people look at me like lopsided and say, really?
Yeah.
You're not going to give me a diet? You're not going to give me a workout plan?
Yeah.
You want me to drink one bottle of water? Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Because the medicine I've found is not the exercise always.
Exactly.
A lot of people want to throw themselves into exercise and do a martial arts class or a cycling class or even a yoga class, as enlightening and spiritual that experience may be. It's not always exercise that's the proper medicine. Sometimes the proper medicine is rest and recovery through nutrient-dense foods and getting out of that cycle of, I can't get the best possible energy in me right now because I'm just so run down and I'm wearing myself out that I can't make the right decision. And going back into a rigorous exercise routine could just like even lesser your ability to make smart choices.
Yeah. I find that to be true. I see more people in these highs, these go all out or nothing approaches. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, these people are super yang. Even I see myself as a super yang guy. I see this in myself as well, that we're so high energy and want to be able to accomplish the world that we burn ourselves out. But find that balance where we don't have to burn ourselves out all the time.
Well, what's important in that journey is knowing what didn't work.
Yes.
How you burned yourself out. That goes part into what your vocation, your philosophy is, and your approach to your clients. That's like, hey man, that one thing, maybe don't do that again.
Exactly. Well, I won't say don't do it again. I'm just gonna say
be conscious of it.
Be conscious, right? Because I don't want to blame the client.
Yeah.
I don't want to shame the client. I just want to tell that client, just be aware what's happening.
Yeah.
Look at the consequences.
Yeah.
Right? Do you like the consequences? And if you do, then keep doing it. Right? But there's going to be a point where they're not going to want to do the consequences anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to do the opposite and want to do something about it. Right? That's always been a good philosophy I like to look at?
Apart from selling my PS4 not too long ago,
Yeah.
and thinking that I had to work out in order to feel good and have a high testosterone level and a high vitality and energy.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually one of the most times where I was just like the most tired. I'm still tired this day, but doing things that I find that are more giving to me and rewarding to me actually give me more energy. One of the things that I experimented on myself was through supplementation, and I did a lot of fasting over a long period of time, and I keep seeing people just like, you shouldn't fast all the time, but if you do fast, do it in this such a way. And so I started looking to different results based on different people on the kind of things that I was experiencing, the kind of things that other people experienced. And I found that I had maybe wiped out a lot of my gut bacteria, because when you go a long period of time without eating, your body is trying to look for energy, and sometimes that energy is in our gut microbiome. A lot of the intestinal wall becomes a little bit more permeable, and it actually deteriorates the lining of the wall, and so food passes more easily through it inside of your bloodstream and gives you like unwanted effects like ADHD, maybe even things like schizophrenia and bipolar personality disorder, creating more inflammation in the body. So I added a probiotic, and I thought I was doing like okay with probiotics in any kind of sense or whatever, and what have you. But there was one thing that it kind of pissed me off, because I was going to the gym thinking I need to go to the gym so I can feel happy about myself. Mm-hmm. But when I just slowed down, rested, ate well, and took a probiotic to repopulate my gut, I finally felt happiness and love and connection with other people that has been far more rewarding than any of the workouts that I've ever done. Because the only thing I'm really doing in a workout is just like, this is how much I can beat myself up and like be tough the next day or whatever. But like going back to what you were saying too about if we don't have that energy to make conscious choices in our own life and our own decisions in the way that we treat ourselves, how are we going to carry that approach onto the next person? And like you said, sometimes we go through different environments of these EMF rich environments, or the toxins from the pollution or in the water that we consume. It's also being around people who don't make the right decisions for themselves that kind of affect you in a way, but we shouldn't shun them. We should like your practices to try to make them look at like, hey, there could be a reason why you're acting in this way because of the choices that you make. But realizing that I wasn't taking care of my gut health in like the best way possible, it got me to think just like how much time I've lost from not realizing this one thing of just taking a probiotic so that I can actually absorb and like utilize the food that I was consuming. It was a big learning step for me.
Would you say it's a realization?
I didn't know the damage was happening to me because I wasn't really sharing my diet with anybody, and there wasn't anybody really around me to be like, hey, what's going on with you? Which is kind of depressive in a way, because I wasn't feeling like all these positive emotions like love, happiness, caring, and coming from a place of centeredness and presence. It was very much so running off of those stress hormones. Even still, I was eating a very clean diet. I still wasn't getting to that place of just like a higher place of functioning. It was super difficult.
It's very interesting that you're saying that all from one supplement.
From probiotics, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Which is one piece of the puzzle, because we're holistic human beings. Personally, for me, it's that holistic view of eating the right kind of foods for your body, drinking high quality water. Obviously, the foods are now in a state of missing nutrients because of these farming practices, spraying our foods with chemical. And I see the value how supplements can help us, because people don't realize how much food can affect our minds. Just like water, if you're 1% dehydrated, it's going to affect your psychological brain. However, I still find it very complicated for me. I find it complicated, that what I do is I just try my best to eat organic farm raised animals and food products from the farmer's market. If I think I need a vitamin, then I'll buy some supplements, but I haven't done that so far because it's hard. It's hard to add all this up, to add the quality water, to add the food choices, supplements, So anyways, those are my thoughts, long story short.
It seems just more complicated than it really should be, right, man? But in order to like you were saying about how much of a perfectionist you are, like I know like there's one aspect of a man, at least I know in my sense, is like we should always be improving. And I think that's valid. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lifelong work, and if we get too lazy, we start wanting that quick reward and then buying that gallon of ice cream every week. It's just like, oh, that's not a reward, that's a punishment.
Yeah.
You should never have a better life experience if someone else is suffering. They call it win-win situation. You want to create more examples of win-win relationships rather than like, oh, I got something out of this and you didn't, that sucks for you, but oh well, whatever, that's the way the world works. Whereas the another way to look at it or approach it is to be like, hey, you're getting something from this and I got something from this experience too, instead of like having either one person be better off than the other person.
Yeah. Even a conversation.
Yeah.
If a person is giving you their full attention, it's about that quality over quantity. Quantity would be on your phone,
I got 6 different conversations going on right now, dude.
I'm listening.
I'm killing it.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm listening, Victor, I'm listening. Go ahead. You were saying? What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it would be deserving of a smack with the microphone if you were doing that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So quality conversations, being in this moment and giving your full attention to that person.
Yeah.
And that stimulates that person's brain, That person is feeling love from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the love languages, right? Quality time.
Quality time, yeah. Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation, all in one, right? I'm not really a giver. Gifts,
No.
Gifts to me is like, it puts me in, and that maybe that's something I need to work on, but to me and there goes the judgment, but I feel like that person is wanting things from me. They want to be spoiled with things.
Yeah.
To me, things.
There's different people that run on different motivations in this day
and I cannot judge that, I cannot judge that. Yeah. That person didn't get things when they were a little kid. Their mom, dad didn't give them things, and so that's one of the thing they lack.
Yeah. I got a gift sent to me the other day.
And how did that make you feel?
I like it because it made me laugh. I told someone that I lived in New Jersey for whatever period of time, maybe 3 years at the most. And she made a couple remarks on, you're just about that shore life, that like the very Jersey Shore type. She made a couple references like, you're just working on your tan, you're working on your muscles, and you got to do laundry every week or something like that. And you have to talk to your talk to your mother. And so she's like, what's your shirt size? And I'm like, it's this. I'm just like, I expected something like thoughtful, like a practical shirt, maybe a plain t-shirt. It's more my style. But she sent me a shirt, and it was a muscle shirt, a very like exaggerated, like obviously muscle shirt, but it said GTL. She told me I was about that GTL life, working at the gym, working on my tan, working on my laundry. It's a very Jersey Shore type thing, and it made me laugh. That is probably the funniest gift that I had in a long time. But I countered that to her. I also bought her a shirt, and she said something that says Illinois on it. She's from Illinois, and there's a play on words from people that are from Illinois. They call them Illinoising.
Oh my goodness.
It's very clever, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm Google searching, like, there's a shirt that I can give her that has something to do with Illinois. But the only one I found, the only one that I felt like a really like significance towards was the Van Gogh painting of the Once Upon a Starry Night, where it's got like all those streaks in the sky and the stars and stuff. But it was the depiction of that, and then an outline of the state of Illinois in the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was clever.
That is clever.
Yeah, and
I like that.
Yeah, it's artistic, but it's also like I'm from fucking Illinois, motherfucker. She's living in Wisconsin at this point in time, so I'm just like, she's gonna wear it around proudly and be like, Illinois, what?
Oh,
Get on my face.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm not gonna lie. I do like the thoughtful gifts.
And it's been a long time since I've had a gift like that fall upon me, and so I'm like, there's some thought put out to this, so I can return that, and that's
Yeah, that's more meaningful for me than. But here's the thing. It can go both ways too. Like if you really love that person and you know that person likes things, then that person wants her or maybe his needs met. And if you don't give
an act of service in a way,
and and if that person doesn't receive his or her needs, then where are they gonna get it from?
From someone else.
Or
say you're not validating them in the right way.
Correct.
And that takes a little bit of empathy, a little bit of that human brain to recognize other people's emotional states. That's a skill.
That is a skill.
Yeah.
Because that person's not going to say it.
No.
Most of the time, people are not going to say it.
A lot of human nature is very unspoken, and unconsciously we're acting in a way, and people pick up on it before we do. Yeah. So looking at that in other people first is
And well, that's one of the things I'm working on with my own clients, because they're not going to say anything to me. And that's why I created a program. So for anybody that wants to join my program, I'm creating a program. And because I'm aware of these things, I want to give quality service to my clients. Right. And so for this program, I'm also going to be aware that that person is not going to say anything. So if I reach out to you, and I say how everything's going, I'm going to keep finding out more and more and more, because we want to figure out like what's really going on. Because I can tell you, hey, how's your day going? What are you going to say?
Good.
And then you're like, good.
Yeah.
No, Victor.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Shit rocks, man. I'm having a blast.
How much of a blast are you in right now?
Oh, dude, I could be at home right now looking at my phone, but I'm here doing a podcast.
Why didn't you choose to be at home?
Because that's just boring. Fuck that shit.
Is it boring?
I've done it before. I know what's in that, but I've never done a podcast like this before.
So you are having a blast in.
Fucking told you I was having a blast.
No, but most of the times they'll say something, but it's not really that.
Yeah.
There's something behind it.
Yeah. I know a good example, say, especially if someone has a situation that just happened to them. And they're still thinking about it, where you ask them how they're doing, and they're like, man, I just can't get over blah, 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 such and such situation that passed. It happened to me an hour ago. It's like, yeah, well, that was an hour ago. What about right now? Check in with yourself now. That's to like in a grand aspect of things, it's kind of the only thing that we have, whatever is happening right here, right now. And anything that happened in the past is going to make us feel sad. We should feel sad every now and then, but not let it linger and fester and then we could be angry about things that will happen into our past, and then we can also be anxious and look forward to the things that are happening in our future. It's very cool to dream and imagine things and other possibilities, so that we're not into like just one existence at all times. And then it's like, how is that being represented or manifested in whatever you're doing now?
Sounds like practicing gratitude.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
What are you grateful for? Like, as in, you can easily say, I'm grateful for having shoes. I'm grateful that I have running water.
Yeah.
You can literally come up with 5 things.
My dad asked me, like, how you doing today? I'm doing good. He's like, yeah, oh, really? You're doing good today? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm alive. What the fuck?
That sounds angry.
Like, did you forget? Like, you realize where we are right now? We're fucking living organisms, dude.
Oh, man. Your response was very angry, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to, sometimes it takes a little bit more, like putting a little bit more energy out there. I'm probably a little dehydrated, if I'll be honest, too. But yeah, just like, I kind of like waking people up in that sense, too, because maybe they say that you should meet people where they are. Say if they're sad and you hear something sad that they're saying, it's like, I hurt the shit out of my toe, dude, and I can't walk right now. I'm like, oh, dude, that sucks. Like, I hurt my toe too. Just like not being able to move around as like freely as you want to has got to be like really fucked up. Yeah. And so as long as you like recognize them in wherever their state that they are and be like sympathize with them, you can move forward.
Should have given that person a piggyback ride.
I would have. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember anybody saying like, oh, I stubbed my toe, I can't walk right now. But yeah, they could definitely give them piggyback rides.
I charge too.
You charge for piggyback rides?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Big Back.
Shoot, I get people that are over 200 pounds. Ow. Speaking of 200 pounds, one of my clients just told me he's at 210 and he was at 320 pounds. Oof. And he's at 210 pounds.
He lost a third of a person.
Pretty much.
How did he do it?
Miracle drug.
He did Ozempic?
Nah.
Ozempic?
No, but it was a long ride. We worked out. I did exactly what I did that helped me out, which is small steps at a time to get to your goals.
One of the things that I really like about your process or your approach is to do an activity that you find the most joy in, and for you was basketball.
Exactly.
I got lucky enough maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I met up with an old friend who just moved back into town. He'd been away for a little while living with a girlfriend and in another state. So he moved away and he moved back, and he's like, yeah, I was talking to him and he's like, yeah, every now and then I like to go to the park over in near my apartment. There's a little skate park, and I take my board and I go over there. And he's god awful at skateboarding, right? But I'm like, hey dude, that sounds like fun. Like, can I go? Can you pick me up from my house? I was like, well, I got to drive all the way over there, and then, it's going to take more time. I'm like, come on, dude, I'm begging you. Like, I really want to go skateboarding with you, man. It sounds like a lot of fun. So like, all right, well, he didn't want to do it, right? It would have taken a lot more effort. But like, I'm very grateful for the fact that he came by, because I knew he would have rather if me had gone with him and spent some time with somebody. And so I was really pushing for him. I'm like, come on, dude, don't be an asshole. Come pick me up. And so he came and picked me up, and it felt like I had not missed a day of skateboarding, even though I hadn't done it in about 10 years. Yeah. And I'm also I'm not the most capable skateboarder, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I was so out of breath.
Yeah.
But throughout the process, I'm just like, this is more fun than going in and lifting a weight.
And that's what I keep telling my clients and everyone that's watching on YouTube. Find something that you love, because you don't even realize you're spending so much time out there having fun and burning lots and lots of calories.
I think we burn more calories by being happy.
Yeah.
Being in a state of flow. Just like not thinking about anything else.
Yeah. And you're probably feeling that way while you're skateboarding.
I was like trying to just like manage everything that was happening beneath me. Like, okay, this is wrong. I got to fix that. And then every attempt was like fixing something. I landed this sweetest little shove it. Dude,
Oh, man.
it felt so good when it
Well-
when it gets placed underneath your feet and you just ride away and you're like,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you decided to do that because
I
it's
forced
gonna
that
help you.
motherfucker to pick me up.
You better get over here.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good time just because I do have a client at 4, and if he comes, he's gonna be
Yeah.
blocking.
Might be kind of gay if he comes.
Yeah, exactly. Damn, do I have to censor this show now? I don't know if we're supposed to say that kind of stuff.
But
Anyways,
they might like this.
They might.
We
They
can
might.
put a paywall behind this.
Yeah.
If we get,
I'm nervous now. This soul-centered wellness just became more than a rated R show. I seriously want to say thank you for starting me up, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this show.
You needed a little bit of my yang energy to get you started.
I think that's what it is.
I got you. That's a bump,
No, oh, okay.
mic bump.
Okay. I was picturing something else.
Oh no, not penis.
Dude, we gotta censor this show.
Maybe
so
we'll just
many times.
maybe we'll just leave it out. We'll leave it out.
Oh man. So, anyways,
Yeah.
I want to say I really appreciate you for starting this up for me. Because
welcome,
if it
dude.
wasn't for you, I really wouldn't be doing this show.
Anytime, and you have my friend to thank who forced me to reach out to you. And be like, hey, you
so
should-
it's
it's
like a connection, right? Like
passing the buck, paying it forward is the expression.
yeah.
Do good onto someone else so that it goes on to someone else and someone else after that. So
Hell yeah.
you're helping more people throughout this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. All right, brother. Ow.
My bad.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so all his social media will be in the links down below, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Peace out.
Say. Hell yeah. Oh, my ass.
Yeah, my lower back.